Saturday Night Theatre.
Autopilot.
Checked and off.
Emergency flaps.
Checked and up. Switches off.
Compasses.
Checked and synchronized.
Cabin signs.
On. On.
Emergency exit lights.
Guard closed. We present Gabriel Wolfe as Captain Cornelius Penn in Point of No Return, a play for radio by Stephen Barlay.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
I can't find the life jacket.
Under your seat, sir, just as I said.
I know what you said, but I still can't find it.
I'll have a look. Yes, it's there. I can assure you.
I don't need assurances. I'm a seasoned traveller, if you must know.
I'm sure you are, sir. And you'll be the first to be served as soon as we're airborne.
Which should have been 76 minutes ago.
I know, sir, I know. But I must tell you that you won't get attention any quicker if you keep your finger on the service button.
Any idea when we'll take off?
No, Miss Boone, I don't know. But if you ask the captain, I'm sure he'd tell you. Unfortunately, you can't go on the flight deck just now. They're pretty busy at the moment.
Runway visual range on number 2 runway, now down to 200 yards. Trans-Pacific 031, do you read me?
Roger.
Runway 1 is our best at the moment.
Number 2 centerline lights go all the way, don't they?
Go way down.
All the way, I understand.
You see them all the way. That's good. Thank you. We'll recheck RVR.
No. I'm asking if the lights go all the way.
Oh, yes, affirmative.
Thank you. I want it on full brilliancy.
Okay, 031. The RVR...
What was that?
RVR down to 100 on number 2. Will you take that?
No. We don't see enough light.
The forecast doesn't look too good. We might not get you away tonight.
Damn.
What?
I said Roger.
Do you wish to taxi back then?
No. We'll try to wait and see.
Yes, sir?
I must get that drink now. If I don't get a drink at regular intervals, this kills me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Cornelius Penn, your captain, speaking. I'm very sorry about this long delay, but first we had a suspected engine failure, which turned out to be no more than a malfunctioning instrument, and right now Singapore seems to be enjoying not only its worst traffic jam for years, but also torrential rain, which is quite determined to keep us just a little longer in this delightful city. I know, however, that every one of us is in a hurry to reach Sydney, where the sky is impeccably blue, according to the latest weather reports, and where there'll be a riot, if not armed insurrection, if we fail to deliver the half of the Prince of Wales ballet, whom we're proud to have on board. Thank you.
Engine failure? Why don't we go back?
Oh, I'm sure there's nothing to worry about.
Thank you, Miss Boone.
How would you know?
Well, I used to be a stewardess before moving to the States and switching to aviation journalism.
Well, I've been in agricultural machinery all my life, and I can tell you a thing or two about this aviation racket.
Do that, sir. Miss Boone will be most interested, I'm sure.
Indeed.
If only I could have a smoke.
031.
You can call now Singapore Tower on 118.3 for takeoff clearance. Good night.
Roger. Singapore Tower. This is Trans-Pacific 031 at holding point runway 2.
Okay, 31. We'll try to get you away as soon as possible.
Roger.
If you want to stay here overnight, an extra engine check or something.
Don't worry, Joe. That VIP hostess of Malaysian Airways will still be here on our way back.
I wasn't thinking about her, only about...
The comfort of our beloved passengers.
Something like that. And the VIP girl, if you wish.
I'm sorry to drag you away, but on this flight I'm captain, and I'm looking forward to sunshine, cold drinks and warm smiles.
Of which you seem to get plenty from that most gorgeous scribbler ever to adorn the pages of Aviation World News.
Myra Boone. Don't be stupid, she's just an old friend. She was in...
Trans-Pacific 031, you're cleared for takeoff. RER 500, surface wind calm. Good night.
31, good night. All set?
Engine stable? Power checked?
Here we go.
100 knots.
Not up.
120 knots. 130. V1. 140. 150. Rotate.
Rotate! She won't. The elevator. Abort! Abort! Full reverse!
130.
Oh, my! I can't hold her. Can't.
Zero 031. What's going on? Fire station. Fire station. Abandoned takeoff. Improbable crash at the end of 02 runway.
Center 1, calling all appliances.
We've got it on radar. Square 12, all appliances. Crash in Square 12 with 183 on board.
This is Center 1. You want all engines out?
Go, yes, please. It's full emergency.
Can't hear you. Fully emergency or declared emergency?
Full emergency. 183 on board.
Can see the fire now. Must be Square 12. Did you say Square 12?
Well, this is the Oceanic Building, London Heathrow Airport, with bookstall on my right at 1845 precisely. So you've got to be Captain Brown, Chief Pilot of Trans-Pacific, right?
Roger.
The name is Alvin Singer, and I'm real pleased to make your acquaintance, sir. And I'm most grateful that you have arranged to travel with me. I'm sure we can sort out quite a lot on the long haul to Singapore.
Will you be the official AeroCorp representative at the inquiry?
No, sir, I wouldn't even know where to start. I'm Vice President in charge of sales of the American Aero Corporation. Proud makers of the Sarissa. Yes, sir, proud, despite this most unfortunate mishap in Singapore.
You mean the accident?
Well, I'd prefer to call it a mishap, with only 2 fatalities and 4 serious injuries.
Please yourself, but I call it an accident. A whole plane load of people might have been wiped out.
But hasn't been. That's the point. Thanks to the structural strength of our Sarissa, to the fast evacuation by your well-trained cabin staff, and above all to the heroic effort of your Captain Cornelius Penn, if I've got the name right.
You have.
How is he?
He'll live.
Well, that sounds rather cold. You have reasons to dislike him?
Wouldn't say that. He's my best friend.
Ah. Let me get you a drink. You go ahead and find a table for us, Captain Brown.
Will that do?
Fine. Well, here's to our hero, Captain Penn.
Cheers.
Any fresh information on his state of health?
Bruises all over, but his burns aren't too bad, and he needs only mild sedation.
Good. And that's how, presumably, he managed to make that useful statement to the press.
He wouldn't make one at this stage.
Well, it wasn't made to the press directly. He spoke to the investigator in charge over there, as I understand.
And the bloody fool gave it to the press, is that it?
Well, my agent over there recorded the local news and played it over to me on cable. You want to hear the tape?
Please.
The sound is lousy, I'm afraid, but let's see.
The flames were spreading very fast, but Captain Cornelius fought his way back to his co-pilot, who was unconscious and trapped in his seat. And some
Yes, that's an eyewitness.
Twisted back, if you see what I mean. It was terrible. And Captain Cornelius had to roll on ground because his clothes caught fire. But he went back again and...
No, it's further down.
The investigators still don't know what went wrong, but they hope to have the answer by tomorrow, because the hero of the day, Captain Cornelius Penn, has already told them that this Sarissa is a very fine aeroplane, and there is nothing wrong with it, and that Singapore Airport is a very fine airport, and there is nothing wrong with it. But there was a little trouble with the elevator, and that is why he had to abortion the takeoff.
Your Captain Penn will like that, don't you think? I mean, the abortion, the takeoff bit.
Attention, please. All passengers on Qantas 232 to Singapore via Rome and Karachi are kindly requested to go to gate number 7.
And how are you this morning?
Mara, how did you get in here?
I borrowed a white coat, as you can see.
Are you all right?
Well, now, how do they put it? As well as could be expected.
Well, somebody said
Never mind what they said. Oh, my neck hurts a little when I do this. But how often do I want to turn like... Oh, this.
As often as possible, if you ask me. Your hair catches the light, makes you look even more beautiful when you do. Ooh, that.
Now you know what I mean.
How come you were hurt at all?
Well, just as I was sitting down...
Sitting down? Why did you stand up during takeoff in the first place?
Oh, well, there was this idiotic farm machinery peddler next to me, pressing and pressing the service bell, and I just cancelled the sign for the umpteenth time, to help the girls, when there was that big jerk and I was pinned to the seat in front. Oh. The deceleration was tremendous. Yeah. I guess it was a miracle that I wasn't the third.
Third what?
Fatality. You didn't know?
Why didn't they tell me? Who were they?
Passengers. Well, as the tip of the port wing hit that tractor...
I didn't know I killed 2 people.
You didn't. You saved the rest 181 lives.
I had to abort. The elevator wouldn't work. Must have been a gust lock or something. They'll find it in the wreckage, I'm sure.
We've named her Sarissa because of the shape and strength and speed. A real Sarissa, the long Macedonian lance. And because it somehow suits this most magnificent creature ever to cross the skies. Isn't she the loveliest plane ever?
No complaints.
Is that all you can say about this sleek and superb near-sonic bird destined to take over the biggest market of them all and replace the aging 707s the world over?
I'm sorry, Mr. Singer.
Alvin, please.
Well, I'm sorry, Alvin, but I've already sung all her praises when I recommended the Sarissa as our #1 choice to rejuvenate our fleet. We were, in fact, one of the first to use her in regular service.
And you got a special discount, as well as a most reliable service, right?
Roger.
The Sarissa has enjoyed the longest accident-free debut made by any new airplane ever. Now, wouldn't you call that something?
No complaints, except that something must have happened to that elevator.
Well, how would you know?
Penn said so.
What if he was wrong and made a mistake?
Oh, not Penn. He's the most magnificent, most natural airman I've ever known.
He's also your best friend?
No, that's nothing to do with it.
No, I suppose not.
Thank you.
But you must understand our concern.
Oh, I do. And it's mutual, I can assure you. Quite obviously, we don't want to run an unsafe machine.
There's no reason to suppose that it's unsafe. We've never had any incident indicating the slightest elevator deficiency. Now, I've already checked that, I can assure you. That's why we must question all other factors now.
Agreed. Let's start with the captain.
If you wish.
He's 41, in the prime of his flying, having logged some 13,000 hours with 8 years in command of big jets.
Private life?
Stable and trouble-free, with son and beautiful wife.
Very beautiful?
Very beautiful. But with the big upheavals behind them, what I'd call a good working marriage.
It doesn't sound like a corner-cutting pilot, I admit.
Corner-cutting, Corrie? You must be joking. If there's a difference between the manuals and his flying, we check the manuals.
All manuals say you must rotate at VR, and he didn't.
He says he couldn't. In our company, we're exceptionally strict about it. It's not the point of no return only in name, and Penn knows at VR he must take off, must, if at all possible. Must, because he cannot stop safely on the remaining length of runway, and must, well, unless the takeoff is likely to be more disastrous than trying to stay on the ground.
But at VR speed, you have no more than a fraction of a second to make that decision.
Wrong. You have no time to make decisions. All the decisions are made for you by the plane, the weather, the runway, and all the other factors. The pilot must be conditioned to recognize a set of circumstances instinctively. His action must be a reflex.
I know. It's sad.
What?
That in this perfect world of aviation, with all our checks, double checks, and treble checks, with all the care, talent, training, and goodwill, we've still managed between ourselves to kill 2 people on that plane. Have you ever been on a mission to tell a wife that she's a widow?
Hello?
Candy?
Oh, yes, Mother. What did you expect at this hour?
Well, just that, it's not for me to say.
But you will say it, nevertheless. You always do.
All right. I won't say nothing then. Except that I would have thought you'd be with your hubby by mean Cornelius.
Oh, yes, Mother, I know who my hubby is.
You're not going, then?
I don't like Singapore.
I didn't mean a holiday, you know.
Don't worry, Corrie's all right.
You can leave Timothy with me if you decide to go after all.
Oh, thank you.
Have you told him what happened?
Well, of course.
It must be quite a shock to him. I mean, he's only 10, but he thinks a lot, you know. He thinks his father is God or something.
Oh, and we all agree, don't we? I mean, he's such a wonderful husband, and after all, the man in the left-hand seat of an aircraft must be God. We trust him with our lives, don't we?
Why didn't they tell me, Mara?
Perhaps they didn't want to worry you.
I must talk to Joe. He knew what happened. He must tell the investigators.
Joe?
My co-pilot.
Your co-pilot?
What's wrong? Tell me.
He's still unconscious.
No.
He would be dead if you'd left him in there.
So even if he recovers, he mightn't remember a thing.
It's possible.
It's happening so fast. No idea what I said at the time.
It'll be on the voice recorder with the rest of the evidence in the wreckage?
I hope so.
What do you mean?
The chap in charge of the investigation doesn't seem all that hot. He came to see me, more or less asked what to do. I had to urge him to have every bit of wreckage guarded. I must get out and help him.
Not yet. You don't want to cause yourself some permanent damage.
I've already done
Rubbish. You'll be cleared in no time. Now, let's talk about something else.
I can't. I'm sorry, I haven't much small talk right now.
You never did have any.
It's odd, really.
What?
Oh, the coincidence that you're here. The coincidence you were on my flight at all.
Oh, that was no coincidence.
You said it was.
They asked me to write about the pressures and problems of fatigue affecting the crew on long-haul operations like this. I chose the flight on which you were captain.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just thought it would be good to see you again.
It is. I was so looking forward to having 3 days with you in Sydney. And then a long flight back, and another 2 days perhaps in Bangkok.
Oh, I'm not sure that I'd have stayed on that long.
Why on earth not?
Oh, it doesn't matter now. The question doesn't arise, so to speak. Have you talked to Candy?
Yes, I called her.
Is she on her way?
No, not yet.
Well, most people will be here by tonight, I believe.
Yes, others are coming from all over the world. A couple of American advisors are already in town. The Accident Investigation Branch is sending someone from London by the invitation of the local authorities. A manufacturer's rep, engine makers. My own bosses, oh, by the way, yes, Keith Brown is coming. He's my chief pilot.
Oh, that's good. I like him.
I'll tell him. One time he'd have married you like a shot. We all would.
That was a long time ago. What is it, 10, 11 years?
I never asked you at the time.
What?
Why did you go away? So suddenly, without a word.
Oh, I can't remember.
Oh, nonsense.
Please yourself.
There must have been somebody else.
Yeah, come to think of it, yeah, that's probably why.
Well, then, just as a matter of interest...
Corrie, I'll have to leave you soon because the nurses are getting rather irritated. You're not supposed to have visitors in the morning.
Never mind. Stay a bit longer. Please.
Why isn't she coming?
Who?
Oh, come off it.
Oh, you mean Candy? There's no special reason for her to come, really. There's nothing she could do here. Now, we have a son, you know.
Yes, I heard. What's his name?
Timothy. He's a great character, he is.
It must be fun to be your Timothy.
Why?
I remember how important it was to you that one day you should be able to become everything to a son that you missed in your childhood.
You have a good memory.
You gave me a very good description.
What of?
Your childhood. You were farmed out for adoption at the age of 5 because your parents' marriage broke up. And 2 months later, your stepfather was called up and he never came back from a bombing mission, right?
Roger.
Now, what was it you said? You missed the sensation of having male protection if somebody broke into the house. And, was it that you missed having a natural built-in idol against whom it would be just great to rebel one day?
You're quite incredible.
Mr. Singer?
Huh? Yeah, that's me.
Pleased to meet you. I'm from Far East Radio Services. Could you please spare a moment for me?
What? You mean here in all this rain?
Won't be long, I promise. But it's the atmosphere, you see. The weather is just like when the crash happened.
Look, I've been flying through what was all night for me, and I'm expected at the crash site in half an hour, so...
To inspect the wreckage?
Are you recording now?
Yes, sir.
Right. Because I'm pleased to have the opportunity to reassure the flying public everywhere that everything possible is being done most urgently to clear up the mystery. Because the Sarissa is a most magnificent aircraft in which safety has always been such a dominant factor that even her very considerable sales potential is built on that. Speed, comfort, and economy come only a long way down the line.
You mentioned very considered sales potentials. Can you tell me more about that?
Well, I'd love to, but I must not. All I can say is that 3 very, very major deals are being negotiated right now, and an ultimate breakthrough is delayed only by this unfortunate mishap.
The elevator problem, you mean?
I didn't say that.
The captain mentioned it, so will you now check that elevator?
Well, naturally, because we check everything from the elevator to the eau de cologne dispensers.
Mara?
Oh, good. I was afraid you might already be asleep.
Where have you been? Where's Keith?
Oh, he couldn't come earlier, and now they wouldn't let him in. Do you know where your clothes are?
In the locker over there.
Do you feel well enough to slip out of here for an hour or so?
Of course. Where is he?
Waiting in a small restaurant near Telekea Street.
I have some bad news for you.
I thought so.
Nothing is wrong with that elevator.
Rubbish.
And there's no sign of any impact on any part that could have a bearing on our case.
Then they'll just have to check it again and again and again until they find it. Perhaps some local idiots.
Oh, stop it, Corey. Those local idiots are assisted by some of the best specialists from London and the States.
Then they must have made a mistake.
Now tell me exactly what happened.
Well, yes, we left the holding area.
After that endless delay, you mean?
Oh, that's irrelevant.
Why, it's the passengers and the local press.
What? Local press?
Well, there's a rumour going around that you were in a furious hurry to get away after all those annoying delays.
Oh, it's a rubbish. Anyway, we were running up smoothly, and I went from nose wheel to rudder steering at 100 knots, and I pulled the stick at VR, and it just wouldn't give. So I pulled harder, and I quickly trimmed back in the meantime to be on the safe side.
Yes, the stabilizer trim setting shows that.
And I pulled again, and when the nose wouldn't lift, I had to decide if I had elevator response at all or not. And I know I had none. So the choice was obvious. Don't you agree?
I do. Except the material evidence is missing.
Well, something must have jammed.
No sign of it?
The sabotage. Somebody might have inserted a wedge or something to lock the elevator.
It would still be there.
Not if the impact freed it.
Then it would have been found on the runway.
Oh, a souvenir hunter pinched it. It always happens.
Frequently. Except in this case, your local idiot did a perfect job. The entire area was better guarded than anything east of Checkpoint Charlie.
So you're suggesting?
I'm not suggesting anything.
Oh, yes, you are. You're suggesting that the lack of material evidence and the perfect working condition of the elevator indicates that I killed those people.
I repeat, I'm not suggesting anything. Least of all dramatic statements like that. All I'm saying is that it is possible, just possible, that something misled you and you made a mistake, a perfectly understandable error of judgment in the heat of the moment.
I did not.
Look, I know the feel of the stick as well as you do. Sometimes one worries a little, say, in turbulent conditions, how hard you can pull it.
This was different. In the air, I'd have forced it a lot more. But at and beyond VR, there was no time to experiment.
Now, that's just it. Just what I'm looking for.
What?
A sort of second line of defense.
You're looking for an explanation of an error. Have you accepted that there was an error?
There was a crash. That's a fact. And people were killed and injured, and that's another fact. And that's all I've accepted so far.
But there was something wrong with that plane, I swear. You must believe me.
Oh, I do. But look at it from an outsider's point of view. If you didn't believe firmly and honestly that there was something wrong with the elevator, if you didn't fight and didn't claim everything you do claim, that would make you a bad pilot, and not only that, a dishonest man, too. Now, in order to make a genuine error, you must have the genuine conviction of having done the right things. But that doesn't prove that you did do the right things, so don't think that I'm trying to jump to conclusions.
Well, aren't you?
You're not the only one who flies the Sarissa, you know. I'm another one who flies her. I happen to be responsible for our whole fleet, too. Do you think that I want to risk my neck? Do you?
I hope not.
But it was a filthy night. You had delays, misunderstandings with the tower, apparent engine failure, return to the apron, checks, impatient passengers.
No, I could tell you about that.
And then more waiting, more queuing, a wet surface, marginal visibility. Oh, the lot. Not the best state of mind to produce a fast, precise response, is it?
No.
Your intentions are completely unquestionable.
When Joe regains consciousness.
Don't count on it. What? Besides, he's not supposed to have his hands on the stick, so he wouldn't have felt the resistance.
It's true.
By the way, did you quarrel with Joe before takeoff?
Why?
There's something on the tape from the flight deck voice recorder.
What?
Oh, I don't think it's important. Besides, he really doesn't sound serious.
Well, saying what?
I've got the rough transcript. Yes, this bit is right at the beginning. Now, apparently, you say Roger 031, squawk, some static, and then he says, I'll never fly with you again.
Oh, that. I was teasing him.
Isn't that on the tape?
It records only 30 minutes, and it's self-erasing. Works in an endless loop.
What did you say to him?
He made some remark about you, Mara. And I said you'd never have a chance with her while I was around. So then he said, he'd never fly with me again, or words to that effect.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't sound an aggressive remark on the tape, either.
You really think I made a mistake?
I don't know. Aerocorp tells me that until now there's been no indication of any elevator trouble on the Sarissa at all.
And you take their word for it?
It's an exceptionally reliable firm, and honest.
Every aircraft manufacturer is. Whispers about secret slush funds are wild and groundless accusations until documented and proved.
Right.
Hints about concealment of information affecting safety of mere malicious rumors until the facts become known. And even then, the big corporations tend to rise above all suspicions. Some little man somewhere down the line is supposed to take the blame, if at all possible.
Scratch a pretty journalist, and out comes hard skepticism.
Nobody authorized you, Keith dear, to scratch me.
Nobody has a chance when Corrie's around.
I'll get on to Aerocorp.
Come along tomorrow morning. I'll introduce you to Alvin Singer. He makes a lot of noise, but he seems a decent sort.
I'm most grateful, Captain, for giving me this opportunity for a quiet, private conversation. And beyond the official statement issued by Aerocorp, please accept my personal congratulations on your conduct following this most unfortunate event.
Thank you.
You mind if we walk a little?
No, I love the port.
Yeah, so do I. It's one of the last remaining fragments of the Orient. At least the way we understand the Orient.
Quite.
Raffles and Collier Keys, then up along the river?
Suits me.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm Mr. John.
No, thank you.
A very nice private bar with very nice girls.
No, thank you.
A very nice suit in one day.
No, thank you.
8 hours.
No, thank you.
6 hours.
No, thank you.
Radio, camera, Japanese pocket.
Get lost.
Oh, you know Singapore, mister. You in business. We have telex service, accommodation address, can arrange money transfer to and from Hong Kong, Zurich, and Bahamas, and help with tax reduction, bookkeeping, and office cleaning.
Boy, did I say Orient?
This is my business card, gentlemen.
Don't waste it on us.
For sake, please. Very nice tweed, telex service. I remember your face. We did business before.
Next time, huh? The captain has no time right now.
Captain. Oh, you, Captain Cornelius?
Yes.
I don't want your business. You go away. Go away. You in hurry. You kill people. Go away.
You shouldn't take it that seriously.
Perhaps not.
Look, the preliminary hearing this morning has not been of any importance. Well, not outside Singapore.
It'll be reported all over the world.
In 2 lines or 3, huh? Tucked away at the bottom of a page. It will never make the main TV news. Not these odd remarks and idiotic statements by so-called witnesses.
Now, what do you mean, not these? What else is there to report?
Nothing. Not at the moment.
You'll have to do better than that.
Oh, all right. But it's personal, between you and me, Alvin Singer. Not Vice President Alvin Singer from Aerocorp. It's an unauthorized approach and off the record, okay? All I'm advising you to do is to lie low.
Now, what is that supposed to mean?
Look, we're groping about in the dark, searching for facts, proof, either way, something tangible. We're already running a new series of elevator tests. We'll do new flight tests, we'll bench test this entire system from your own plane, and we'll test it in the air, too, if necessary. But I already have the advance report, and it doesn't look too good.
Oh, you mean you found something?
I mean, there's nothing to find.
So when you say I should lie low, you mean I should keep my mouth shut, go along with everything you say, and forget the accident?
No. You don't have to forget. You only admit the possibility that an error of judgment...
It wasn't.
Look, it was. It wasn't. It's immaterial.
Oh, you bastard.
Don't let the word immaterial upset you. Your evidence is anything but material.
In other words, I should lie low and let a faulty plane kill a few hundred people before I'm proved right.
But I don't give a damn about your being right or wrong. But your silence would help us to discover the truth, to avoid public hysteria, to prevent emotional press campaigns.
It would also help AeroCorp.
And your airline, and the airport, and the Sarissa.
And you say that purely as a private citizen, a neutral observer, an outsider with no axe to grind.
It may surprise you, but yes.
It does surprise me that you don't even blush.
Well, then let me go even further.
Oh, go on, don't mind me.
Oh, but I do. And that's just it. You behave like a drowning man, kicking, wriggling, gasping, and grasping at nothing.
But it's all about my good name as a pilot.
Look, the immediate interest of everybody involved is to achieve cool objectivity. Now, whatever we do now, judgment will be postponed until tests have been completed and a reasonable probable cause can be found. Until then, there's absolutely no reason to discontinue operations.
Yeah. Except that I'll be suspended.
Yeah, I know. But your airline will want to keep you on the payroll, at least for the time being.
Oh, very kind indeed.
I'm also suggesting that AeroCorp should use you as an advisor in the new tests.
Which I would accept gratefully, if I were corrupt.
It would be an honorable way to keep all your options open.
Keith?
Yes?
Could you help me shut this case?
Yes, of course. It's incredible.
What is?
That you still love him.
Oh, now, what makes you say that?
Your determination to lead.
Twisted male logic, that's what that is.
You could help him.
In London or Washington, perhaps. Here, I'm useless.
Moral support?
He has a wife, hasn't he? He has you for a friend. Even if in this case, well...
Ah, thank you.
Besides...
Go on.
It won't be a pretty sight. To see him hurt, I mean.
You blast. We've missed the news.
So the preliminary hearing hasn't produced anything very startling. But there are certainly a few disturbing questions. We still don't know for sure that there was no argument in the cockpit, and that a row between the pilots was not a contributory cause of the accident. We know that Captain Penn was always the first among the crew to report for duty, except this time.
Ridiculous.
But we don't know why that was. The co-pilot mentioned something about an additional engine check. That's on the voice recorder. But we don't know why the captain treated it as a joke. And why was he in such a hurry to reach Sydney? For the sake of the dancers on board?
Oh, really?
Or was there another reason? And if yes...
Sorry, I don't want to hear it.
Is it possible, just possible, that once again you're running away?
I never run away.
Well, the last time...
That was different.
He loved you.
He got over it.
Candy helped, of course.
And his son. And you. I counted on you.
I did my best.
Do it again.
All I can advise him to do is to stop rocking the boat. Don't you agree?
No, I don't. But I'm wrong, I know. And that's another reason for me to go away.
I'm not quite with you.
Look, if I were his wife, I'd have the right to say, never mind the future, disregard me and everything else, and fight for the principles involved. Fight to prove that even if you made a mistake, you had good reason to make that mistake, so that others might not fall into the same trap. And I'd tell him that... Oh.
What?
Never mind. Just give him my love and tell him that if he needs any help, research, my time, my contacts, anything, he can reach me in Washington through the magazine.
Will you stop in London?
Just for a couple of days.
Can we have dinner?
Will you be back?
Oh, yes, tomorrow.
You said you wouldn't return without Corey.
I won't. He's coming with me.
How did you persuade him?
Candy telephoned him. Oh, with a bit of prodding and prompting from me.
Oh.
She said...
I didn't ask, did I? Just give him my message, please.
Oh, all right. I'm coming. Don't have to wake up the old neighbourhood. I can still recognise the sound of your car, even if you do come only to see me once in a blue moon.
Hello, Mum. May I come in?
Are you drunk, then? Candy?
No, Mum. I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Well, because I bump into a chair or two. It's dark here. How would you know, anyway?
You call me Mum instead of Mother. Or Mother. That's how.
Oh.
Well, come on. Out with it.
Out with what?
Why you came here.
Oh, that's a nice and warm reception for you, I must say. I'm Candy, Mum. Don't you recognise me? Oh, your daughter.
Candy's a former air hostess. My daughter's a regular Maggie. But that's neither here nor there. If calling yourself Candy makes you more special, that's all right with me.
All right. I just popped in to see you. Satisfied?
No.
Please yourself.
Did he throw you out?
No.
That's the one thing that's wrong with your marriage. Never a harsh word.
Oh, you keep saying so.
Because it's my opinion. And I may be old, but I can still have my opinion, can't I? Can't I?
Yes.
You should have it out with him.
There's nothing to say. You won't believe me, but there's nothing wrong.
Why should there be? You have an ideal marriage, the best.
That's what you think.
Well, everybody knows Cornelius is a good man who loves your son.
His son?
Loves your son, and he's a good provider, isn't he?
I could have married a millionaire. Two, if you must know.
And he didn't make no false promises, did he?
Well, I kept my side of the bargain, didn't I?
How? By taking everything that was on offer. Big house, big car, cottage in Wales, not that you ever use it. 4 holidays every year in places where most people only get to in wartime. Is that what you call your side of the bargain?
No. He wanted a home. I gave him a home. He wanted a son more than anything. I gave him a son. He wanted a beautiful wife. I took care of myself. He wanted a social life. We had nothing but social life.
You two spend more time in Soho and the theatres than any waiter and tart put together.
Oh, yes. Every night when he's at home. It's because we've nothing else. Well, nothing in common.
You've got Timothy.
Nothing to talk about.
Beats a whoring, drinking man every time.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
What then?
No, he wants to talk all day. He wants attention.
Then give it to him.
I can't. I'm not interested in aviation and his flying. He's full of it.
Well, it's where the money comes from.
Not for long, I'll tell you, for nothing. He's beaten. He killed those men in Singapore because he made a mistake, and he knows it.
How would you know?
Because he does nothing about it, that's how. He's always taught Timothy, you must stand up for yourself and fight no matter what. No, he does nothing. Nothing for 2 whole months.
He'd always find another job.
Yes, and the sooner the better, too, because I'm fed up with all the fights at the door.
What fights?
I've got to get rid of them snoopers and journalists.
Well, then you tell him not to. Why should he hide from anybody?
Because I told him to.
You did?
Yes. His boss and friends talked me into it.
Well, is that good for him?
All I know is that if he stays at home for long, I'll leave him.
You can't leave your son.
I can. Timmy is his son. He's always been. He only came into this world because Corrie wanted him. Because Corrie wanted a son to make happy like he himself had never been. I'm not part of that.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Oh, I do. I wouldn't have it any other way. I've been trapped by all that sweet talk and glamour and Corrie's dreams about his lost childhood and things he never had. Well, that's how he's trapped me. And I've lost 11 years of my life. 11 years, Mum. Oh, anyway, thanks for the chat.
Are you all right to drive?
Oh, yes, Mum, thanks.
I mean, you can stay if you like.
For the night?
No, Maggie. Not the night. That's something you must decide when you're quite sober.
I should rather drive, you mean?
I didn't say that.
Well, I'll see myself out.
Not in this house, you won't. Oh, what a night!
Sir?
Yep.
I'm sorry, but you'll have to come and talk to those two drunks.
Later, honey, later. We're having a bit of turbulence, and you better go back yourself. I'm about to make an announcement.
All right, sir. I'll try to cope.
Ladies and gentlemen, once more, this is Captain Mitchell speaking. As you might have noticed when the coffee jumped right out of your cups, we're having a bit of the weather that'll give you good value for money in the shape of an unscheduled bump or two. Now, I'm sure you'll find it an interesting experience, and you'll get good conversational mileage out of it when we reach Miami Airport in about 2 hours and 50 minutes from now. So, in addition to the sign, which is already on, I'd like to ask you to remain seated for a short while and keep the seatbelts on. For the benefit of the more technically minded among you, I want to add that the turbulence is shown on our excellent weather radars, and we've already tried to fly above and below the weather to give you smoother drinking time. Unfortunately, the storm appears to be quite extensive, so there's nothing to it. We'll just have to steer manually round the worst black holes in our screen and apologize for...
Hell!
Shut up!
I can't hold her! I can't!
Okay, I have control. Give me the course. Oh, no!
Oh, is he there?
He is, sir, but he's terribly, terribly busy right now. Who's calling?
Captain Penn.
Oh, yes. I'm only a temp here, but I remember your name, sir. You crashed in Singapore, didn't you?
Yeah.
What a shame. What shall I say to Captain Brown?
That he should call me back if and when he has a moment to spare. Terribly, terribly busy just now. Candy? Is that you, Candy?
Well, who else? I hope I'm not disturbing.
Where have you been?
Well, guess. Just guess.
Shopping.
Fantastic. Right first time. You win nothing.
I could have helped you.
Well, it's quicker on my own.
Would you like a drink?
No, thanks. It's a bit too early for me.
I've called Keith Brown.
What did he say?
Well, he couldn't talk to me. He was busy, terribly, terribly busy.
Well, most people are, you know.
He has a new secretary. But she knew my name.
And?
Nothing.
Oh, you're full of fascinating stories these days.
I'll remember to invent some specially for you next time.
Alternatively, you could get a job.
But I have a job. My contract
Your
bids me-
contract? Well, break it. AeroCorp offered you something much better.
But not as a pilot. And I am a pilot, you know.
Glorified bus driver in the sky, you mean?
Thank you. Captain Penn.
Sorry I couldn't talk to you when you called.
That's all right, Keith.
What's up, then?
Well, nothing. I just wanted to find out if there was anything happening at your end.
No. Early days yet. You know how slowly bureaucracy moves.
It's more than 3 months.
Oh, is it really? Oh, that's awful.
Yes, rather.
I mean, how time flies.
Yes. Well, we could have a drink, perhaps.
Excellent idea. I'll give you a buzz as soon as I get through this paper mountain on my desk.
Next week. Well, come and have dinner.
Yes, why not? Now wait a minute. Next week I'm doing the milk run to Rome and Frankfurt.
Yeah.
And then a charter job down Mexico way. I'll give you a buzz next month.
Have a good trip.
Thanks. Meanwhile, should anything come up, you'll be the first to know, of course. Take care.
And you.
Well, is he coming to dinner, then?
No, not just now.
Oh, don't you see? Nobody has as much time for you as you'd have for them.
Thank you. That's very flattering.
It's the truth. And I'll have that drink now.
Then help yourself.
Marboon?
Captain Mitchell returning your call.
Oh, hi there. I've been chasing you for a couple of days.
Well, I'm in Miami.
Oh, I thought you'd be already back in Washington. When will you return?
It depends. Could you tell me perhaps what it's about?
Yeah, it's in connection with that incident you had the other day. Hello, you still there?
Yeah, how did you hear about it?
Oh, on the grapevine. Why, is it a secret?
No, not exactly.
Well, I know it was a spot of turbulence, but I'm interested in the details.
Well, look, why don't you get onto the FAA? They have my full report. NTSB is looking into it.
I know, but I wanted to hear it from you.
Well, they'll issue an official statement, I guess.
Where's your co-pilot? Is he back here?
No, he's on holiday.
Where?
Try the office, they might know.
Okay. Well, let's try to fix a date, shall we? I ask what I want, and you answer what you want. How's that?
Well, look, maybe next week I'll be back home. I'll be in touch, okay?
I'll be here. How odd. Don't you think it's odd, Linda?
More coffee?
Oh, yeah, please.
I don't know what you find so odd about it.
Only that everybody seems to shy away from publicity.
Why should they want to advertise an incident? Turbulence frightens a lot of people. Believe you me, this was frightening enough, thank you.
Go on.
Off the record.
I promise.
Because I wouldn't even talk to you if we hadn't started flying together.
I know, Linda, and that's exactly what I find so odd. I mean, if I were back home, I'd understand. In Britain, people are much more press-shy than over here. Oh, it may be a sense of privacy or grossly inflated self-importance or treating even cesspit cleaning charges as if they came under the Official Secrets Act. Perhaps they do over there. You see what I mean?
I do. But this particular situation is, how should I put it, delicate?
Why?
Ours is a small airline. Profitable, but struggling with constant problems of liquidity.
Oh, the story of my life.
We could never afford to fly the new near-sonic Sarissa if it wasn't such a good shop window for AeroCorp.
You mean you got them cost price or something? But surely nobody would hold a spot of turbulence against the Sarissa. That's something even AeroCorp couldn't design out.
That's what Captain Mitchell said. Have you ever met him?
No. As I said, he wasn't too keen to talk.
Well, I think we were lucky to have him on that flight. Even he was shaking when we got down.
It must have been quite a pocket you hit.
The first jolt came as I was returning to the cabin.
Yeah.
And while the captain was giving the passengers a funny pep talk, two drunks were calling for attention and drinks in every way they could. And then came the next one, which sent us into a dive, and the drivers just couldn't hold it.
Well, shows the structural strength of the Sarissa that they managed to pull out at all.
And the fitness of the drivers. They had to fight the controls all the way. When they put the nose down to pick up speed, it wanted to go up and stall. It even resisted the turns as they tried to steer around the black holes.
All right, Linda, it was bad. Hell, if you like. Oh, I remember my own first bumpy ride, thank you very much. But that's no reason to grow so press-shy.
Timmy didn't say he'd be late, did he?
No.
You think we should ring the school?
It's only 4 o'clock.
4:13 to be precise. Your clock is very pretty, but it's no good as a timekeeper.
Well, try to repair it, if you can spare the time.
Oh. That's all right. No, I'll go. Timmy? Oh, Timmy, what happened?
Nothing.
Your eye.
What is it? Nothing.
Nothing. That's all he can say. He's got a black eye, a bloody nose, even his shirt full of blood, and he says nothing. Don't go away when I'm talking to you.
Yes, Dad. Oh, leave him alone just now.
You had another fight. Oh, don't just shrug your shoulders, please.
Yes. Yes, the same 2 boys.
Well, I hope you kicked their teeth in, did you? Didn't you?
There were 2 of them.
I didn't ask how many there were.
I tried to run.
That's why they always pick on you. You must stand and fight, always.
Like you, Dad.
What?
Do you stand and fight? And the headmaster wants to see you on Thursday.
Well?
Well, what?
Will you let him get away with it?
He only said what he thought.
He was impertinent.
I don't know.
But what do you know? He'll soon be uncontrollable. He's only 10.
He's still entitled to his opinion. Aren't you going to answer that?
No! I'm 32 and also entitled to my opinion.
All right. Captain Penn.
Don't hang up.
Who are you?
Press, but don't hang up. It's important. I'm from the Daily Post.
Well, what do you want?
your comment on the imminent big breakthrough in the Sarissa sales campaign. Do you think it's right to push it?
I wouldn't know.
Oh, come on, Captain. Let yourself go for once. After all, you must feel some responsibility. The skies will be full of that aircraft when that deal goes through. Do you think that the Sarissa's ready for it?
No.
Could you elaborate on this?
They should wait for the recovery of my co-pilot and the outcome of the Singapore investigation. Something was wrong with the controls. And if it happened once, it could happen again.
Is the chief in, Nancy?
Yes, sir. And Mr. Drayton's been expecting you all day.
Yeah?
And Mr. Singer's here.
Send him in.
I'm sorry, JB. I just got back.
So, what do you think?
Well, sir,
Don't well me, Alvin. We don't have time. That statement in London could be very damaging.
I don't understand, Penn.
Who's that?
The pilot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but you don't even need to understand him. That single statement could delay the sale by 6 or 8 months easily. Yeah, then they may stir up this turbulence incident. That girl, what's her name?
You mean Mara Boone?
Yeah. She's making inquiries, I hear.
Well, we could have a word with her editor. They have a fair chunk of our advertising budget.
Yeah, I know, and that's easy. They'll have to play ball. Yeah, but that captain is a problem. He must be stopped.
What do you mean, stopped?
Well, we can't let him go on making wild accusations. All in all, we have 8,000 jobs at stake. Yeah, perhaps we could take a closer look at him. Perhaps the press will be interested.
Well, I can't just...
I don't know how you go about these things, and I don't care. I can't be concerned with every detail of all our operations.
I'll have to think about this.
Yeah, do that, Alvin. You have plenty of time. Say an hour.
Mara Boone.
Hello, it's Linda. Have you got a TV in your office?
Yeah.
Well, switch on WCC right away.
Why? What happened?
You just tried to interview me on the telephone for the current affairs program on the air right now. It's something to do with the Singapore crash.
Thanks. I'll call you back.
Apparently hasty decision. On the other hand, minute fragments of evidence can now be assembled, and the emerging jigsaw picture begins to indicate pilot error as the sole cause of the crash. The voice recorder you see is not the actual one from the ill-fated Sarissa, but the voice you will hear is an extract from the genuine article.
Roger. 031. I'll never fly with you again. You're not the first to say so.
Sounds lighthearted enough. But how lighthearted are you supposed to get when you're responsible for lives? I'll never fly with you again. Why? What was he referring to? Could it be that the co-pilot, incidentally a captain himself, was unhappy with the performance of the engines despite the earlier checkout?
Oh, nonsense.
Well, here's another brief extract from that fun and games flight deck chit-chat.
Well, if you want to stay here overnight, I mean an extra engine check or something.
Don't worry, Joe. That VIP hostess of Malaysian Airways will still be here on our way back.
I wasn't thinking about her. Only about,
the comfort of our beloved passengers.
And so it goes on. Well, we must leave it to you to decide. Is this the way to discuss the fate of the fare-paying public? What's more, the extracts refer to a friend of the captain, but we don't wish to go into that. After all, we're concerned only with the crash and the factors that are relevant to the search for the truth. There are, however, some other worrying aspects to deal with. The voice recorder extracts come by courtesy of the Far East Radio Services, a fine agency which also traced one of the survivors of the crash.
Oh, they would, wouldn't they?
Your name, sir?
Is that absolutely inevitable? I mean, I'm not seeking personal publicity or something. I've been flying most of my working life, because if you're in this agricultural machinery game, you must be prepared to visit customers all over the globe.
Yes, of course. But we must try to answer what's important for the investigators. And you mentioned something, that the captain was in a hurry.
He said so himself on the intercom, because of this Barlay company on board. And also his friend who sat next to me and who, according to the stewardess, could be expected to obtain more accurate information from the pilot than anybody else on that aircraft. Now is that right?
Yes? Yes, okay. I'm sorry about this interruption, but I hear that at last we've got through to London. The sound you hear is, in fact, Captain Penn's phone ringing. Hello? Hello, London?
Captain Penn here.
Hello, Captain. This is Richard Bryant from station WCC in Washington, D.C. And I must add that you're in our current affairs program on the air live right now.
Do you realize it's past midnight here?
Yes, sir, and I'm ready to apologize. But now we must know what really went on between the crew before the crash. So tell me, please, was there an argument on the flight deck before takeoff?
No.
But the voice recorder
It's
revealed...
none of your business. It's purely for the investigators' information.
But only that could support your claim.
Rubbish. As soon as my injured co-pilot recovers...
You mean you haven't heard?
What?
He's dead.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry I broke the news so tactlessly, but I was sure you'd know. It happened about 90 minutes ago. So, in the light of the new situation, when there's no hope to get your statement verified and your denials confirmed... Hello? Are you there?
Yes. Yes, I want to make a statement. The new Sarissa sales must be stopped at all costs. The entire fleet already in operation must be rechecked. I, or anybody else for that matter, can't sit back and wait any longer.
Because you must clear your name.
Never mind my name. I'll be back in that left-hand seat soon enough, and I won't ask for universal gratitude either. But we must prevent another, potentially more disastrous crash. So in the morning, I'm off for Singapore and to the States to see Aerocorp and do everything I can.
Who's paying?
I have to pay.
Oh, you mean we have to pay?
Yes, we have a joint account, haven't we?
With virtually nothing in it. The last 3 months were quite a drain. And a trip like this could be a financial disaster.
Well, I can get a loan.
And later sell the house, too. You may be away for months.
I don't know. The sooner I leave, the better.
Well, how soon?
Well, I think there's a flight at 8:30.
You won't be back in time to come and see the headmaster on Thursday, even though it must be something serious.
Well, I'm sorry. You'll have to go in alone.
To whitewash your son. I warn you. If you go away, that's it.
You want to leave me?
As if it mattered what I or anybody wanted.
It matters to me.
Oh, like you asked the minor bird you bought for Timmy. Shoo-shoo, little bird. You like this cage or that one? Oh, you're a great trapper, Corrie Penn.
And you're drunk.
Did it matter to you whether Timmy would want to come into this world or not? Did you ask him?
I asked you. It was a mutual decision.
Like between you and the minor bird.
You were free to leave any time.
Oh, sure I was. But you were clever. You kept gilding every bar of the cage. And you always knew that I'd become a big enough whore to accept it all and give you in return some sort of marriage.
I haven't complained.
When I was too lazy to make a move. Is that what you call a good marriage?
I don't know. It works?
No. It vegetates. Survives while the going is good. It's a social convenience without love. Without even sex.
Without love. I could have walked out when you turned completely against sex.
Why didn't you?
There must be some bond to hold me here.
Well, yes, Timmy. Now he must be sacrificed for your career.
Between Washington and Singapore, I'll come back for the day, I promise.
You can't achieve anything in Washington if you only have 2 days.
Mara will help me. She has contacts.
Captain Penn.
Please look at Mara.
Just a smile, please.
I'm from WCC. If you could tell...
Captain Penn.
Could you please stop running?
Captain.
Well, it's good of you to come and meet me.
It was very stupid of me. I should have known they'd be out here in force. Now they have the missing link.
What's that?
The picture of the two of us together.
What nonsense.
If they could only half convince the public and the authorities that we're having an affair, and you just couldn't wait to lay me on Bondi Beach or something equally imaginative, then you're doomed.
Who the hell would pay attention to gossip writers?
In this case, everybody.
Why in this case?
Look, this is not just a bit of cheap titillation about who's sleeping with whom. You're not a playboy and I'm not... Get on, Corrie. Down.
What was all that?
There was a photographer in that car. Look, you better stay out of sight. I booked you into the Manger Hay Adams.
Opposite the White House?
Only because I happen to know a good back entrance there. I'll drop you at the front and see you in your room later on.
Come in. That was quick.
Do you want to watch football?
No, I'll turn the sound down until the news. Hello.
Hello.
It's really good to see you.
And you.
You know something?
What?
It'd be nice if the gossip was true about us.
You have enough trouble without me. The knives are out to get you.
That's a good start.
My own editor is strongly discouraging my investigation into that turbulence case.
But why?
It's quite likely that he's under pressure from AeroCorp, and so is the rest of the press, and so are others probably, including Singer.
He is AeroCorp.
He's just resigned.
Why?
Well, health problem is the official explanation.
I'll have to talk to you.
Well, I've tried to arrange it, but nobody knows where he is.
I'll have to approach people at the FAA or the NTSB chap I met in Singapore.
Won't be easy. They're also under pressure.
Just don't believe everything the press says.
Look at it from their point of view. The fate of the Sarissa and AeroCorp may badly damage the entire economy of the country.
And ruin it if more disasters are on the way.
Granted. That's why the investigation continues, but it's sort of running out of steam. There's no hard evidence to fuel it. So the technical men come under political pressure. And when it comes to hush-up politics, AeroCorp has all the trumps.
All right. Then I'll have to create a public outcry against it. Or even a scandal.
But it's only your word against everybody else's. I may be the only one to believe you, and even I have no reason to.
Yes, you have. I'm the only one who felt the behavior of that stick at the crucial moment. And Mitchell, whatever his name is.
Oh, look, I was coming to that. He's clearly dodging me. He obviously knows what's good for him.
Well, how about that stewardess?
I told you what she said, and she won't be quoted in public.
Have you got the tape?
Yeah. I have an interesting bit marked out for you. Here.
They had to fight the controls all the way. When they put the nose down to pick up speed, it wanted to go up and stall. It even resisted the turns as they tried to steer around the black. All right, Linda.
Just what I felt. Except that they had time to fight the controls. Which worked as if... No. That's mad.
What?
Well, as if the autopilot were engaged inadvertently.
Could it work against the pilot?
Oh, yes.
Well, then?
It's impossible. You see, the safety features are such that on the Sarissa it needs 2 positive steps to activate the autopilot. And besides, in my case, I remember quite clearly I glanced at it for a split second. I know it was off. It was found in the off position after the crash.
It may be worth mentioning when you meet Drayton.
Who's that?
The president of AeroCorp. That's my only good news, so I left it last.
How did you manage to swing that?
Oh, I've twisted every arm in sight. He'll see you on Thursday morning. Corrie, what is it?
No, it's nothing. We'll have to rearrange it.
You can't. He's away now, and he'll be back in his office for only 5 hours on Thursday. He gave you 15 minutes of that time. Oh, what's wrong?
It's only that I was supposed to be back in London on Thursday.
Do sit down, Mrs. Penn.
Thank you.
It's a pity your husband couldn't make it, but, I know. The papers seem to be full of his spectacular efforts in Washington.
Well, yes, you know how it is.
Of course. Reporters have visited, in fact, even this modest establishment. A most embarrassing experience, if I may say so. Young Timothy seems quite upset because of it.
Also, because some boys seem to be picking on him quite deliberately.
Yes, there were fights. I'm glad he told you. No doubt he's also informed you why those boys were, as you say, picking on him.
No.
Well, current uncheckable rumour is, to put it bluntly, that he's twice been suspected, to say the least, of pinching some tawdry items and planting them, so to speak, on other boys and staff. Would you like a glass of water, Mrs. Penn?
No, thank you.
The question is, what are we going to do about it?
I don't know. He'll need a lot of help.
Oh, quite. But we must also think of the other boys' interests, you understand.
No. What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. Perhaps you'd like to think it over and keep him away from the pressures for a short while.
You want to expel him?
Oh, no. Nothing so drastic. It wouldn't be right. No, but perhaps you wish to consider a fresh start for him with a clean sheet in new surroundings. where perhaps those reporters cannot chase him.
Hey, you! What the hell do you think you're doing? Stop it!
This plane won't leave the hangar!
Stop it! Stop it! Cut it out!
No, sir, not today and not tomorrow. Not this plane!
You're crazy! Stop it! I'm warning you!
Here, drink up.
I don't want anything from you, Mr. Drayton.
Of course you do. You want satisfaction.
I want action, now.
Well, then start by drinking up. Then I'll apologize for the guards. Now, they shouldn't have knocked you cold. But you were lucky they didn't shoot. What you did was industrial sabotage.
I only dug some holes to prevent a Sarissa from leaving the assembly line.
What, for an hour or two? We could bridge those holes, you know.
Every hour counts, not to mention the publicity.
Yeah, you certainly made effective use of your 48 hours or so in the States. Do you know that you may be deported within the next few hours?
Yes.
If I make an official complaint, that is.
Don't threaten me, Mr. Drayton. I've too little to lose.
You know something? I admire your determination.
Then ground the Sarissa and stop production until the cause of my crash is cleared.
You know I can't do that.
Well, then you give me no choice. I know you'll try and stop me. I know that much of the press will see it the way you want it to be seen. But sooner or later, some people will stop and think.
And they may be wrong.
I take that chance.
Of course you do, because you have only Mr. Number One to think of.
Oh. It must hurt to be as unselfish as you are.
Look, what makes you think that yours is my first such problem? Do you think it would be right to stop production and ground a fleet every time a stupid driver wrecks a machine and makes a fuss to protest his innocence?
How to protect lives.
We both do that. But I also have to think about jobs and people's faith in aviation.
And that justifies anything, doesn't it? Even the wrecking of lives like mine.
Look, I don't know what my lieutenants did to you. I can't be responsible for everybody's action within the corporation. But I'm sure nobody meant to hurt you, and I have a proposition to make.
Which I cannot refuse, I suppose.
I'm willing to finance a research project, and I want you to participate in it.
You want to buy me out, quite shameless.
Yeah, but in a positive way. And then you can do something for the Sarissa and the public instead of playing the martyr. Yes, martyr. And you'd better stop seeing yourself as a modern Don Quixote bravely charging the propeller of an airplane.
Some more home news. The accident investigation branch
I
of
hear it
Trans-Pacific
is.
Airline
Oh,
still
dear.
refused to make any comment on the Singapore crash of Flight 031. But in America, Captain Penn continues to drum up public support for his fight against the Sarissa, this time with a drill in front of a hangar.
Oh, dear.
A stewardess revealed to an American television investigation that the captain had a late night before the flight. Mara Boone, the aviation journalist among the passengers, was apparently mentioned on the flight deck during the long delay, and according to an extract from the voice recorder transcript, the captain said, "She's just an old friend. She was..." But the sentence remained unfinished.
Leave it, Mom.
I've heard enough.
Oh, why shouldn't he have a bit of crumpet? I don't mind.
Oh, shut up. Timmy might hear
Oh,
it.
so what? Sooner or later, he'll have to learn that his father isn't God. Just good friends, my foot. They had a good thing going long before I came on the scene.
Couldn't have been all that good.
Oh, she left him. You know why?
I'm not
I'll tell
interested.
you. Because of the child.
What child?
The child he always wanted and the child she couldn't have. She's barren, poor old dear.
How would you know?
Oh, she told me. That's how. He never knew why she ran out on him. She couldn't face telling him, she said. It would hurt him. Dear, oh dear, it would shatter that darling man. Well, I'll be less considerate.
You can't do it.
Oh, yes, I can. And I will.
He needs you now more than ever.
He's never needed anyone.
How about Timmy?
He'll be all right with his darling daddy.
He needs a mother.
But what do I need? I never wanted to be a mum. I never wanted a little brat to keep me from living and embarrass me with thieving and all. Oh, you like to be a mum? You play mum.
Oh, you can't be so heartless. Not my Maggie.
Not heartless. It's my last chance to think about nobody but myself.
One day you'll regret it.
Well, at least I won't have anybody else to blame. You just telephone Corrie in Washington after I've gone.
I came as soon as I got your message. So what's happened?
I'm going home.
You decided against Drayton's offer?
No. I decided against sacrificing my son for an obsession, however melodramatic it may sound.
You don't expect me to understand, do you?
Candy's left.
Taking Timmy.
She's left him with her mother.
Oh, she wouldn't. No.
She did. So I must go. But you keep up the pressure if you can.
I'll try.
Thanks.
I never got the kiss you promised me for fixing that date with Drayton.
Is it too late now? Is it?
No, I can't. I gave you all I had. I just haven't got any more. And I don't know how long it'll take to get reinforcements.
The scene is just too painful to describe. Toys, limbs, papers, luggage, twisted metal everywhere. The occasional faint cry for help, but there isn't much hope for any survivors. The rescuers fight the fierce flames around the nose of this once so slim and gracious Sarissa, now all compressed into a blob of blood, bones, and aluminum. It happened all so suddenly. Some eyewitnesses say it tried and tried, but just couldn't take off, and then fell back like an injured eagle, or a young one too weak to leave the nest. Oh, what an awful, terrible waste.
Okay, Fred. You're caught in okay? I can't hear you. I told you these bloody ear pads were no good. What? Yeah. Then I'll do that stewardess now. No, I didn't say make her. I said I'll do her. The interview. Yeah.
May I steer, Dad?
Aye, sir.
Right. Then full speed ahead, number 1, and no mistakes this time.
Ding, ding, ding. Full speed ahead coming up, sir. But we'll have to nurse that giant engine carefully, or else we'll have to paddle all the way back to Chiswick.
Right. Number 1.
Sir?
Have you heard from her?
You mean your mother, don't you?
You know whom I meant.
Don't you want to say, Mother? All right. You don't have to.
It's 3 weeks and a day now.
No. Not a word. But I'm sure she's all right.
Land ahoy! Stop the starboard engine!
The rescuers have detected some sounds in the crumpled fuselage, and they are now trying to cut through to them. Meanwhile, we have here Jean Page, a stewardess who only left the flight here in Hawaii, where she was scheduled for a 3-day vacation. She was still at the airport when it happened, and understandably, she's still in a state of shock. But it would help us, Jean. It would help everybody concerned if you could answer a few questions. What, in your opinion, could have caused this disaster?
I don't know.
Nothing unusual?
No, nothing. Not unless you count a hysterical old woman in the first-class compartment as something unusual. But you always get these. Every flight has its fair share, we always say. And coping with their questions and demands is part of the job.
Yes.
I even warned the girls about her. And now she's dead. They all are.
Answer, Timmy, will you?
Right. Hello?
Hello? Hello, Timmy. It's Mara. We had a chat the other day, remember?
Yes. You said you'd come and see us.
I couldn't. Well, not yet.
Are you still in America?
Yeah. Is your daddy around?
Yes. We were on the river, and I was captain and he was number 1. Here he is. It's Mara.
Oh. Hello.
You spent the whole day on the river?
Yes, it was lovely.
Then you haven't heard?
What?
Crash in Hawaii with 171 on board.
No.
No survivors.
Any details yet?
Very little to go on.
Oh.
But it might have been like yours. According to witnesses, it was a very odd takeoff,
Yeah?
as if the plane was struggling to get off the ground, or the captain was hesitating.
It's guessing.
Well, everything is at this stage.
That's true. Has the press dug up anything?
Oh, well, not yet. There's only been an interview with the stewardess who left the flight in Hawaii. She gave the usual waffle of shock, you know. Perfectly normal flight, no premonition of disaster, troublesome hysterical passenger, and general confusion.
That's odd.
What?
You remember that dreadful machinery salesman next to you?
Boy, do I.
On Mitchell's flight, when it hit the turbulence, there was also trouble with some drunks. And now again.
You mean there could be a connection?
No, there can't be. I mean, how could there be? Except that I... No, it's ridiculous.
Except what?
Well, that I don't believe in coincidences.
Tell AeroCorp. They must look into it if you push it.
I make myself the laughing stock of the trade. No, it's not on, Ma. But it is odd.
Shall I mention it to Drayton?
If you like.
Yeah?
Miss Boone of Aviation World News and Line 3. Shall I say you're busy, sir?
No, put her through.
Go ahead, Miss Boone. Mr. Drayton on the line for you.
Hello, Mara. Any new theories for me?
No. I'm only anxious to hear if there's any development.
Now, you'll be the first to hear, as promised, if we find anything. Right now, I have a whole team working on your little theory, but so far, it's all negative. They tell me that there could be no interaction between the elevator controls and the various cabin signs, except if wires which run together were bared. Most unlikely event. And I'll have to leave you with that because someone's waiting for me on the other line. But I'll be in touch, don't worry.
I'll be in London for a few days.
This is the final call for passengers on Trans-Pacific 553 to London Heathrow. All passengers must proceed to gate number 22. Thank you.
Miss Boone?
Yeah?
Captain Brown's asked me to take you on board.
Oh, thank you.
We have a full load, and you'll have to ride as a supernumerary on the flight deck, I'm afraid. It's not the most comfortable
Oh, don't
ride.
worry. I love it.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, Mr. Drayton, I'm still here.
Now, what the hell do you mean chafed? Now, how could they be?
Well, nothing definite. Not yet, you understand.
No, I don't. Have you found chafing in the wire insulations or not?
Well, yes, we have, but only on one aircraft.
Okay. Then start checking every other available aircraft within reach, and I'll put out a worldwide alert immediately. One more thing. Have you yourself seen that crate in Singapore?
Yes, sir.
Have you seen any similar chafing on that?
Well, no, sir, but then it's not something you'd normally look for. You see, the various looms of parallel wires are in a protective sleeve, and there's never been a reason to cut undamaged sleeves open. Except now that you've asked us specifically.
Good. Then remember this. I mean that I personally have asked for this, okay?
By the way, thanks for the ride at short notice, Keith.
Any time, my dear, any time. Without meaning to pry, is it business or pleasure?
Oh, bit of both.
Does Corey know that you're coming?
No.
He'll be pleased.
I hope so.
I'm sure.
At least I have some interesting news for him about Singer.
Mhm.
I have no proof, but I now know for certain that it was a resignation over policy. He felt that Drayton went too far with the whitewashing of the Sarissa, even if, technically, he was perhaps justified.
Trans-Pacific 553. 553. This is North Atlantic Traffic Control. Do you read me?
Loud and clear.
Is your co-pilot also plugged in?
Roger.
This is an emergency message to all Sarissa aircraft in the air. Are you on autopilot?
Roger.
Go over to manual at once. Please confirm.
Trans-Pacific 553 on manual.
Any cabin signs on?
No.
From now on, no cabin sign to be activated at all. You'll divert to your nearest airport, which is Shannon. Landing will be fully manual with no cabin signs on. Understood?
How about seat belts?
You will have to make only one announcement right after this transmission, and tell all crew and passengers to remain seated and have seat belts fastened.
Roger.
For the landing, the crew will have to be alerted for full emergency procedure.
Understood.
Although you will not, repeat, not select autopilot at any time from now on, you must make sure and monitor each other, that the autopilot trim is an exact copy of your manual trim.
As if we flew on both manual and autopilot simultaneously.
That's correct. And one more item in the manufacturer's message. If at any stage you feel that the controls produce an unusually strong resistance, as if they were working against you, you will have to use sufficient force to overcome resistance.
Roger. Now, could you tell me...
I'll stay with you, and this frequency will remain open only to you, 553. But first, repeat entire message.
Trans-Pacific 553 is on manual, duplicating every selection of trim on autopilot, which is on the off position, and will remain so.
Welcome to those viewers who have just joined us here in Washington on the nationwide network, and also those in Europe who are watching with the help of a satellite hookup.
Attention, please. Thank you. Please, thank you. Mr. Drayton is now ready for you. Yes, first, Richard Bryant of WCC for the network.
Could Mr. Drayton elaborate on the initial formal statement and explain what is happening?
Yeah. Yes, of course. First of all, I should like to assure everybody who might have a friend or relative flying in Sarissa right now that the danger is absolutely minimal and everything is under control. We are only diverting every Sarissa to the nearest airfield to make the safe even safer, if you know what I mean. Now, in simple terms, this is what we've discovered. It appears that in certain most peculiar circumstances, there's a possibility, as yet unconfirmed, that the autopilot of the Sarissa may be activated inadvertently by the combination of having the seatbelt sign on and frequent calls from some troublesome passenger.
Well, that's the most
now,
ridiculous.
please, I'll explain. Now, these cabin signs operate on a low voltage, but the current might seep through the wires controlling the operation of the autopilot, and this spurious input might then activate the servo unit operating the elevators. In other words, even if the autopilot is in the off position, the cabin signs and service call buttons may work the elevators, sometimes against the pilot's efforts.
Why weren't these wires better insulated?
The insulation was perfect. The problem is that these wires run parallel in looms fixed to the walls of the fuselage, behind the cabin panels and under the floor. The fixing is done by clips, which are fired into position by a suck gun. It appears, and this is not yet sure, but possible, that the insulation damage was caused by the clips. A natural move of the parts would in time aggravate the damage by chafing. And if so, a disaster would be on the cards.
It should have been foreseen by the designers.
No, sir. It was one of those freak situations that may develop. This one came about in just such a freakish way. We had trouble with the fixing of the looms, and a shop floor supervisor decided to adjust the suck guns so that greater force would be exerted.
Is this the end of the Sarissa?
On the contrary. It's a 5-minute job to restore 100% safety.
Have you found such chafing damage in the wreckage in Hawaii?
No, not yet. But that wreckage is burned out. On the other hand, in the aircraft wrecked in Singapore, the chafing and insulation damage have already been confirmed.
Does that exonerate Captain Penn?
Absolutely. He was right in every way to abort takeoff, even though he was beyond the point of no return. Had the same been done in Hawaii, a course that was extremely difficult to choose in the circumstances, we'd have 171 survivors instead of 171 bodies.
Flaps 30 degrees, lights on.
Approach check completed.
Your seatbelt, Mara?
You'll never find me without it.
Okay. Well, we've been cleared to go in straight, so good luck, everybody. Landing check.
Landing gear.
Selected down.
No smoking sign omit.
It's off.
Yaw damper.
Off.
Altimeters.
QFE set and cross-checked.
Landing gear check.
3 green, selected and locked. Steering wheel centered.
Flaps.
50 degrees.
Hydraulic pressures.
Checked.
Landing check completed. Gets you something to write about?
I'd have preferred to be a participant rather than the subject of the press conference. Went out all over the world.
Corrie must have heard it by now.
Pity.
Why?
Oh, it would have been much nicer to give him the news. Still, I'll try to call him right away. Are there outside lines to the crew room here?
Yes, but, well, perhaps it would be better not to phone him.
Why?
I may have to ask you to do me a favor. To tell him something.
Don't try to sound so mysterious.
Oh, no mystery. It's just that he would perhaps take it more easily if it came from you. I mean, personally. It's about his future.
Oh, I know. I know you'll insist on giving you hours and hours on the simulator, fresh checkouts, and the rest before he could return to the left-hand sea.
It's not that simple, I'm afraid.
He's already been exonerated, hasn't he?
Well, he's certainly entitled to apologies and compensation.
He doesn't give a damn, I'm sure.
And both Trans-Pacific and AeroCorp will offer him the best desk jobs you can think of.
Desk jobs? You know he wants to fly. He's a pilot.
I know. But after Singapore and the accusations and all the rotten publicity, how would you as a fare-paying passenger feel if at 30,000 feet the intercom came on and Corrie's smooth voice said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Cornelius Penn, your captain, speaking."
In Point of No Return by Stephen Barlay, Gabriel Woolf played the part of Captain Cornelius Penn. Candy Penn was Sheila Grant, Mara Boone, Shirley Dixon, Captain Keith Brown, John Graham, Alvin Singer, Paul Maxwell, Drayton, Malcolm Hayes, passenger, Stephen Jack, Richard Bryant, Paul Meyer, and Candy's mother, Betty Bascom. You also heard the voices of Jean England, Gordon Gardner, Garrard Green, Leslie Heritage, Ursula Hurst, Valerie Murray, Clifford Norgate, Margaret Robertson, John Rowe, Christopher Schooler, James Thomason, and Joanna Wake. Point of No Return was produced and directed by Graham Gould.